My name's Tyson, and my life is about finding and drinking great coffee, training as much as I can, and then recovering while exploring the fascinating world of anime.
No one can stop me.
This is Coffee, Train, Anime. Today I'm not too far from home actually. I'm on the Central Coast region of New South Wales, which is where I grew up. It's this working class place with a holiday vibe. As you can see, an exquisite beach, never too far from your front door. There's a number of great coffee spots on the Central Coast, but none of them do it quite like Slowwell. Specialising in filter coffee, Slowwell do more than provide your daily caffeine fix. They provide what I think is the perfect coffee experience. Slowwell is a small lifestyle, well-being and coffee store nestled along Ocean View Road in Ettalong. It's run by the lovely couple of Dani and Herman running the modest brew bar in the centre of the store. Slowwell also awesomely offers free batch brew for anyone entering and will brew to order for those wanting something more tailored to their tastes. Thanks for having me in, man. What are we going to brew today?
Today we're going to brew two coffees actually. On the Quinto Brewer we're going to brew Geisha from Guatemala, roasted by Ruben Hills in Sydney. And then we're going to use the Clever Dripper to brew an Ethiopian coffee. So yeah, we're just going to try those two.
Do you find that are a lot of the people that come into your place, they're already into filter coffee, or are you finding that majority you're educating them or telling them about what there is to appreciate about this kind of coffee brewing?
I think it's been really, really interesting because it's a split, it's a 50-50. But I think the most rewarding part is being people that have never brewed coffee at home. I think that's why we purposely started having really basic equipment here, apart from the kettle. It's just, you start with the basics. If you have a kettle at home that doesn't have temperature control, just boil it and let it sit for 2, 3, 4 minutes. Yeah. It's gonna go down to 95, 96 degrees. And then you just boil the water like
you don't want those specific split hair details to overwhelm someone getting into it. It doesn't need to be that detailed. This kind of coffee, how you said, it's pretty hard to do it bad. You've been doing a lot more than me, but it seems true. Like the first time I tried this, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. But when I had the coffee, I was like, that's not bad. But it seems like a lot of the culture around this is about splitting the hairs, as in like brew at 93 degrees and it will taste delicious. Double filter it with an AeroPress for more clarity. And it's like, we're splitting hairs, but that's what kind of makes it fun as well, to try all these different ways and to see those minor things that make it much better, more delicious.
If you're getting good quality beans, you're not gonna mess it up. You're just probably not gonna extract the best coffee that you could, but that's the whole thing. It's like you start learning. Then if you don't like it right now because it was a little bit weak, then try different things tomorrow. Maybe you grind it a little bit finer, maybe you boil the water a little bit hotter. But if you keep trying more and more and more, then your palate starts to develop. So it's just a journey. Just enjoy the process, I would say.
As much as I appreciated slowing down to start the morning, it's time to up the pace with our training for today. We're heading to Pulse Climbing in West Gosford, just a short 20-minute drive from Ettalong. And man, I could only have wished this was here when I was a kid. The difference between indoor rock climbing and bouldering facilities is with bouldering, you'll find shorter walls, no harnesses, and a crash mat to break your fall. Today, Joey and Sophie welcomed me to the facility to share some tips and tricks on how to climb better. Alright, so like with many sports, there's specific shoes for climbing. What are they called and how helpful are they for climbing?
They're just called climbing shoes. They help force your feet into an arched position, and that means you can get more power and weight to your toes and get more leverage as you step up.
All right, so where are we going to start?
Let's go with the zero first.
The zero, that sounds hard. Okay, zero. Shall we do a 9 now?
If you're ready.
Or maybe a 2 or 3. The most issues I have is where it's like, you have to be like against the wall.
Yeah, sometimes trying to move your feet more in your hands is very helpful.
Okay. I'm thinking, how can I move my feet more? I mean, let's talk about specifically climbing. Like, you can think bouldering, rock climbing. We're talking climbing. Can
Yep.
you talk a bit about like that, the physicality needed to climb, what we're relying on, what we want to prioritize using when we climb?
Definitely your legs. Trying to get all your weight to your legs, and then also where your center of gravity is positioned is also important. And that what drives that is obviously positioning of your hips. The only times your arms are bending is when you're kind of pushing off your legs to go to the next move.
Any stretching, mobility work, anything like that that you personally do to help
Maybe-
out?
Definitely a lot of my
it
hips.
in the hips?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff?
A lot of like glute bridges.
So activation work or
Yeah,
more
activation
building the range?
Building both. So yeah, I'll also be in like froggy position, pigeon foot, like all that. Just
Mm-hmm.
try to open up as much as I can, and yeah, trying to activate the glutes as well. Very skill based sport as well.
Is it?
Yeah. You can be super strong and still kind of suck on the wall. Like you can only get so far with
Will
strength.
be me.
No, but yeah, the skill part takes a while to build up as well.
Okay. So say you figured that one out like you did. It's not necessarily going to be I'd copy exactly what you did,
No.
because people with different proportions will do it differently?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the cool thing about climbing.
Yeah, I got it this way.
Yeah.
But he got it that way.
Yeah.
When a new person comes into the gym,
Yep.
I think I already know what the answer is going to be here, but is the biggest, the most common error people make is thinking it's all about the upper body,
Yeah.
and they need to be shown that it's more about the legs.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of just watching where their hands are going,
Mm.
and then their foot slips because they haven't placed it properly in the first place.
Yeah.
And then having to readjust continuously.
Yeah.
So, relax.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's it doing over there?
So trust your feet in this one. You lean. You're just gonna have to lean over and lightly touch it. You don't have to grab onto it. Yep.
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 Woo, good job.
Nice.
That counts, does it?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you controlled it and you held it, touching it, it's in. Bouldering's super intense compared to like say rope climbing, especially on the tendons, and they take way longer to kind of
And you're
adjust.
talking tendons
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the fingers, yeah.
Adjust to the amount of load that we kind of force on them.
Is there anything you do to offset the stuff that you're doing?
Stretching them out, definitely stretching beforehand helps a lot. Warming them up.
What kind of stretches would you do for it?
So finger curls like that.
Just body weight, like just doing
just that.
doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 30, and then maybe 2 sets of that.
So when someone comes into a bouldering gym, what do you think is a good way to? I mean, again, sure, just have fun. Just
Yep.
use it how you see fit. But what would be a good way to structure your training if you were going to come in for say 12 weeks straight, once or twice a week? What would be a good way to practice and progress over those 12 weeks?
Focused mainly on lower intensity but high volume.
Yeah.
Still work up to kind of a peak in the session, but then drop it off as well and work backwards.
Yep.
So yeah, like a pyramid kind of thing. I think after 3 months, you'd kind of have a feel as well of what style of climbing suits you. And that's both a good and bad thing. Like you want to kind of be always quite objective about your climbing and be like, what's my weakness? Because that's the thing that's going to obviously improve you the most. So say, yeah, you're not good at clave climbing. Maybe after 3 months, that will be your that should be your goal, is being able to do a cave climb of the grade that you can do at your limit.
With over 2 hours of climbing in the bank, as well as no rips, it's time to head home, count my blessings, and get some much needed rest, and of course watch some anime.
There's a lot of things I love about anime, but when I first saw Death Note, I thought it would be impossible to make another series as good. Until I watched my next series, and then my next series. Each one was equal parts fascinating, intriguing, imaginative, but all in their own unique way. I was astounded by anime's ability to not necessarily raise the bar, but to find different ways of hitting that bar each time. Some anime has undeniable quality, whereas others are more a guilty pleasure, but none combine universal acclaim and my personal favourite features of anime into one package quite like Hunter x Hunter.
It's hard to know where to begin with this series. I get goosebumps just thinking about the overwhelming amount of layers that hit me when I try to articulate this near masterpiece. But I suppose I should start by saying from an outside perspective, this series is unassuming. The boy on all the cover art looks like your happy-go-lucky child protagonist, and it gives the vibe that it's a show for kids filled with rainbows and bubblegum, and by the end of each episode the little adventure will be resolved.
To quote Chandler, you couldn't be more wrong, actually.
The series has so many layers it's difficult to define. An extremely condensed synopsis would be Gon, the initial protagonist, sets out to become a hunter like his father. And in this world, a hunter is a highly skilled individual that has permissions to do things and travel to areas inaccessible to people not holding the qualification. But I cannot emphasize enough how significantly this series extends beyond that initial plot. Hunter x Hunter can be funny, thoughtful, dark, touching, mind-boggling, ambitiously imaginative, yet deeply relatable. The character development is extensive, reaching far beyond the main characters and digging into many of the supporting characters, and this has such a big payoff fleshing out the world for the viewer. With all these details in Hunter x Hunter, they align to create some of the greatest moments in anime history, moments that stay with you for weeks, months, or years after viewing.
As I keep saying, Hunter x Hunter cannot be boxed into any one category, but I do have to give an honourable mention to the series' action scenes and their battle system.
Much like people give praise to the intricacy of a fictional language like Elvish in Lord of the Rings or Klingon in Star Trek, the magic-based battle system used in Hunter x Hunter is perfectly complex and balanced for so many epic action sequences. If you're familiar at all with Hunter x Hunter, you'll be aware of the series' bittersweet ending, in that it's not an ending at all. The story is not complete, and the manga's author, Yoshihiro Togashi, is notorious for his long hiatuses. The anime more than holds up as is, but it's constantly memed there's life before Hunter x Hunter and life after Hunter x Hunter.
So even though I'm going to Google Hunter x Hunter every couple of months as I long for new episodes, I think the lesson to be taken away from today's episode is to take time out of the rush of life and to enjoy the process within the things we love. And I think that the pillars of life in which we stand on will improve in quality. But seriously, Togashi, please make more episodes of Hunter x Hunter.